Ladies and gentlemen, today I want to share a truth that might be uncomfortable for some of you. It's a truth that may rattle the foundations of how you've been living, but it's a truth that can set you free. And that truth is this: stop being too nice. Too nice doesn't mean being kind. It doesn't mean being compassionate or respectful. No, those are strengths. Being too nice is about giving too much of yourself without boundaries, without limits, and without demanding respect in return. It's about saying yes when your heart is screaming no. It's about putting everyone else ahead of you and leaving yourself empty. Setting boundaries without apology is one of the most empowering decisions you can make in life. Boundaries are not walls, they are bridges to self-respect, healthier relationships, and personal growth. Yes, so many people struggle with this concept because they feel guilty or afraid of how others might react. They fear rejection, conflict, or being labeled as selfish. But let me tell you this: establishing boundaries is not selfish. It is an act of self-respect and self-preservation. It is a declaration that your time, energy, and emotional well-being matter just as much as anyone else's. When you fail to set boundaries, you send a silent message to the world that you are willing to accept whatever is thrown your way. People will come to expect that you'll always say yes, that you'll bend over backward to accommodate their needs, and that you'll tolerate behavior that doesn't sit well with you. Over time, this can leave you feeling drained, unappreciated, and even resentful. And let's be honest, you can't blame others entirely for this. If you never express your limits, how can they know they're crossing them? Setting boundaries begins with understanding your own needs and limits. Take the time to reflect on what drains you and what fulfills you. What are the behaviors, situations, or relationships that consistently leave you feeling exhausted or taken advantage of? Once you identify these patterns, you can start to recognize where boundaries are needed. The key is to communicate your boundaries clearly and confidently. You don't need to justify or over-explain yourself. A simple, honest statement is often enough. For example, if someone asks you to take on extra work when you're already overwhelmed, you might say, "I appreciate the opportunity, but I'm at capacity right now and can't take on anything additional." Notice that this response doesn't leave room for debate. It's firm yet respectful. You're not being rude, you're simply honoring your own limits. The hardest part of setting boundaries is dealing with the discomfort that comes with it. Yes, some people might push back. They might accuse you of being difficult or uncooperative, especially if they're used to you always accommodating them. This is where your resolve will be tested. It's important to remember that their reaction is not a reflection of your worth or the validity of your boundaries. It's a reflection of their expectations and their inability to adjust to the new dynamics. Stand firm. Over time, they will either learn to respect your boundaries or they will remove themselves from your life, and either outcome is a win for you. Another important aspect of setting boundaries is consistency. It's not enough to set a boundary once and expect it to be respected forever. You have to enforce it consistently. If you allow people to overstep your boundaries without consequence, you send a mixed message that weakens your stance. For instance, if you've told a friend that you're unavailable after 9 p.m. because that's your time to unwind, but you still answer their calls or texts during that time, you're undermining your own boundary. Consistency shows that you take your boundaries seriously, and it encourages others to do the same. Sometimes, setting boundaries also means making tough decisions. There may be people in your life who are unwilling to respect your limits no matter how clearly you communicate them. These individuals often thrive on your inability to say no and take advantage of your kindness. Letting go of such people can be painful, especially if they are close friends or family members. But remember, your peace of mind is priceless. Surround yourself with people who uplift and respect you, not those who drain and exploit you. Setting boundaries doesn't mean you're closing yourself off from others. On the contrary, it allows you to show up as your best self. When you protect your energy and prioritize your needs, you're able to give from a place of abundance rather than depletion. You're able to engage in relationships that are mutually fulfilling and respectful. And most importantly, you're able to live a life that aligns with your values and aspirations. So stop apologizing for setting boundaries. Stop feeling guilty for saying no. You don't owe anyone an explanation for protecting your peace. The people who truly care about you will understand and respect your decisions. And for those who don't, let them go. Your well-being is not up for negotiation. Prioritizing yourself is not a luxury, it is a necessity. In a world that constantly demands your attention, energy, and resources, it's easy to fall into the trap of putting everyone else's needs ahead of your own. You become the reliable friend, the overachieving colleague, the ever-available family member, constantly giving, giving, giving. But at what cost? When you neglect yourself, you deplete the very resources you need to thrive, and eventually there is nothing left to give. Prioritizing yourself is not selfish. It is a vital act of self-care and self-respect that allows you to show up as the best version of yourself, both for you and for others. The first step in prioritizing yourself is recognizing your own worth. For many people, this is the hardest part. Society often teaches us that putting ourselves first is wrong, that it's a sign of arrogance or a lack of compassion. But think about this, if you don't value yourself, how can you expect others to value you? If you don't take care of your own needs, how can you possibly have the energy or capacity to help anyone else? You must start seeing yourself as deserving of the time, energy, and effort you so willingly give to others. One of the most effective ways to prioritize yourself is by managing your time intentionally. Time is your most valuable resource, and once it's gone, you can never get it back. Start by identifying your priorities, what truly matters to you. Maybe it's your health, your personal growth, your family, or your career goals. Whatever it is, allocate your time accordingly. This might mean saying no to certain invitations, obligations, or requests that don't align with your priorities. And yes, saying no can feel uncomfortable at first, especially if you're used to being a pleaser. But every time you say no to something that doesn't serve you, you're saying yes to something that does. Another critical aspect of prioritizing yourself is taking care of your physical and mental well-being. Your body and mind are the foundations upon which everything else in your life is built. Neglecting them is like building a house on shaky ground. It's only a matter of time before it all comes crashing down. Make time for regular exercise, healthy meals, and sufficient rest. These are not indulgences, they are necessities. Equally important is your mental health. Take breaks when you need them, seek help if you're struggling, and engage in activities that bring you joy and peace. Whether it's meditation, reading, painting, or simply taking a walk in nature, find what nourishes your soul and make it a priority. Financial health is another area that often gets overlooked when it comes to prioritizing yourself. Many people feel obligated to spend money on others, even when it stretches them thin. Gifts, dinners, trips, and favors, while well-intentioned, can become a burden if they compromise your financial stability. It's okay to prioritize saving, investing, and building a secure financial future for yourself. You don't have to apologize for being mindful about how you allocate your resources. Remember, financial stress can take a significant toll on your overall well-being, so prioritizing financial security is an essential part of self-care. Emotional boundaries are equally important when prioritizing yourself. Too often, we allow others to dump their emotional baggage on us, leaving us feeling drained and overwhelmed. While it's okay to support the people you care about, you must also recognize when it's too much. You are not a dumping ground for negativity, nor are you obligated to solve everyone else's problems. Learn to protect your emotional energy by setting boundaries and practicing detachment when necessary. It's not your job to fix everyone. Your primary responsibility is to take care of yourself. One of the biggest challenges in prioritizing yourself is overcoming guilt. Society often glorifies self-sacrifice, especially for women, portraying it as the ultimate virtue. But martyrdom is not sustainable, and it certainly isn't healthy. You must let go of the guilt associated with putting yourself first. Remind yourself that you're not abandoning others by prioritizing yourself. You're simply ensuring that you're in a position to give from a place of abundance rather than depletion. You're taking the steps necessary to build a life that is fulfilling and aligned with your true desires. Prioritizing yourself also means investing in your growth and aspirations. Too often, people put their dreams on hold because they're too busy supporting others or meeting societal expectations. But your dreams matter. Your goals matter. Whether it's pursuing a new career, learning a skill, traveling, or starting a passion project, make time for what lights you up inside. Life is too short to live solely for others while ignoring your own potential and happiness. Prioritizing yourself is about taking ownership of your life. It's about acknowledging that you have the power to shape your reality, but only if you put yourself at the center of it. This is not selfishness. This is survival. This is how you thrive. By prioritizing yourself, you set the tone for how others should treat you, and you inspire those around you to do the same for themselves. It's a ripple effect that starts with one simple decision to choose you. Stop seeking approval from others and start living for yourself. This simple yet profound shift in mindset can change your entire life. The need for approval is something many people struggle with, often without even realizing it. From childhood, we are conditioned to seek validation from parents, teachers, and peers. As we grow older, this pattern continues into adulthood with social media, colleagues, friends, and even strangers influencing how we view ourselves. But the truth is, living for others' approval is a trap that keeps you stuck, constantly chasing an ever-changing standard that you'll never fully satisfy. Seeking approval is exhausting because it requires you to constantly mold yourself to fit other people's expectations. You find yourself asking questions like, what will they think of me? Will they like me? Am I doing enough to impress them? These questions might not be spoken aloud, but they guide your decisions, shaping how you act, what you say, and even how you perceive your own worth. When you live this way, you lose touch with who you truly are. Your identity becomes tied to the opinions of others, leaving you vulnerable and uncertain. The first step to breaking free from this cycle is understanding that no matter what you do, you will never please everyone. People have their own perspectives, biases, and preferences, and those are beyond your control. Someone will always have an opinion about your choices, and often those opinions have more to do with them with you. Trying to win everyone's approval is not only impossible, but also a waste of your energy. Instead of focusing outward on how others perceive you, shift your attention inward. Ask yourself what truly matters to you and what aligns with your values and goals. When you stop seeking approval, you reclaim your power. You no longer allow others to dictate your actions or define your self-worth. This doesn't mean you become arrogant or dismissive of others' perspectives. It simply means you prioritize your own opinion of yourself over external validation. The truth is, the only person who truly knows your journey, your struggles, and your dreams is you. So why should anyone else's opinion carry more weight than your own? One of the main reasons people seek approval is fear of rejection. Rejection can sting, no doubt about it. It feels personal, as though it's a reflection of your value as a person. But rejection is not a sign that you are unworthy. It's simply a sign that someone else's preferences, needs, or expectations don't align with what you have to offer, and that's okay. Rejection is a part of life, and learning to face it with resilience is a key part of letting go of the need for approval. Every no you encounter is a step closer to finding the people, opportunities, and experiences that genuinely align with who you are. Another factor that fuels the need for approval is comparison. With the rise of social media, it's easier than ever to compare yourself to others. You see their highlight reels, their successes, their milestones, their seemingly perfect lives, and you start to feel inadequate. You wonder if you're doing enough or if you measure up, but remember this, comparison is a thief of joy. What you see online or in public is often a curated version of reality, not the full story. Everyone has struggles, doubts, and insecurities, even if they don't show them. So instead of comparing yourself to others, focus on your own journey. Celebrate your progress, no matter how small, and remember that your path is unique to you. Letting go of the need for approval doesn't mean you stop caring about others altogether. It's about creating a healthy balance where you value your own opinion while still being open to feedback and connection. Constructive criticism and advice can be valuable, but there's a difference between considering someone's perspective and letting it control you. Learn to differentiate between helpful input and unsolicited opinions that don't serve your growth. One of the most liberating aspects of living without seeking approval is the freedom it gives you to take risks and make bold choices. When you're not tied to the fear of judgment, you can step outside your comfort zone and pursue what truly excites and fulfills you. You no longer hesitate to try new things, explore opportunities, or stand up for your beliefs because you're not worried about what others will think. This is where true confidence comes from, not from external validation, but from the courage to live authentically. The reality is that people are often too preoccupied with their own lives to scrutinize yours as much as you think they do. Most of the judgment or approval you imagine is happening only in your mind. When you stop giving so much weight to what others might think, you realize how much space you've been renting out in your head to opinions that don't matter. Free yourself from that burden and focus on building a life that feels meaningful and fulfilling to you. By choosing to stop seeking approval, you set yourself free. You free yourself from the chains of comparison, the fear of rejection, and the endless pursuit of validation. You give yourself permission to be who you are, unapologetically and boldly. And in doing so, you inspire others to do the same. Stop tolerating disrespect in any form. This is one of the most important decisions you can make for your self-worth and well-being. Disrespect comes in many shapes and sizes. It can be subtle or blatant, occasional or constant, intentional or unconscious. But no matter the form it takes, disrespect eats away at your confidence, self-esteem, and mental health if you allow it to persist. By tolerating it, you send a message to others and to yourself that you're willing to accept less than you deserve. It's time to draw a line and make it clear that respect is non-negotiable. One of the first steps in stopping disrespect is recognizing it. Often people don't even realize they're being disrespected because they've normalized certain behaviors. Maybe someone interrupts you constantly in conversations, dismisses your opinions, or talks down to you. Maybe they disregard your time, cancel plans at the last minute, or fail to follow through on promises. It might be someone making hurtful jokes at your expense, criticizing you unfairly, or invading your boundaries. These behaviors may seem small or insignificant in isolation, but over time they add up. They chip away at your sense of self-worth and create a pattern that becomes harder to break the longer it continues. Recognizing disrespect also means being honest with yourself about how you feel. Sometimes you might brush off disrespectful behavior as no big deal or tell yourself that you're overreacting. But if something consistently makes you feel small, ignored, or unworthy, it's not minor, it's significant. Trust your instincts. If something doesn't sit right with you, it probably isn't right. Your feelings are valid, and they're often the first indicator that a line has been crossed. Once you've recognized disrespect, the next step is addressing it. This can be uncomfortable, especially if you've been conditioned to avoid conflict or keep the peace. But staying silent only enables the behavior to continue. Confronting disrespect doesn't mean you have to be aggressive or confrontational. It simply means standing up for yourself in a clear and confident way. For example, if someone consistently interrupts you, you can say, "I'd like to finish my point before you respond." If someone makes a hurtful comment disguised as a joke, you can say, "I don't find that funny, and I'd appreciate it if you didn't say things like that." These statements are direct yet respectful. They communicate your boundaries without escalating the situation. One of the challenges of addressing disrespect is dealing with how the other person reacts. Some people may apologize and adjust their behavior once you've brought it to their attention. Others, however, may dismiss your concerns, get defensive, or even double down on their behavior. This is why it's so important to stand firm in your boundaries. Remember, you're not responsible for how someone reacts to your standards. You're only responsible for enforcing them. If someone refuses to respect your boundaries after you've made them clear, that's a sign that they may not value you as much as you value them, and that's not a relationship worth investing in. Stopping disrespect also requires you to examine your own patterns and habits. Are there ways in which you unintentionally invite or tolerate disrespect? For example, do you downplay your achievements to make others feel more comfortable? Do you laugh along with jokes that hurt your feelings because you don't want to seem too sensitive? Do you over-apologize even when you've done nothing wrong? These behaviors might seem harmless on the surface, on that they send subtle signals to others that you're willing to put their comfort above your own dignity. Start paying attention to how you respond to disrespectful situations and commit to making choices that honor your self-worth. Another key aspect of stopping disrespect is surrounding yourself with the right people. The people you spend time with have a huge influence on how you see yourself and how you're treated. If you're constantly around individuals who belittle you, take advantage of you, or disregard your feelings, it's time to reassess those relationships. Seek out people who uplift you, support you, and respect you for who you are. Healthy relationships are built on mutual respect, trust, and understanding, not on power imbalances, manipulation, or control. It's also worth noting that stopping disrespect is not just about how others treat you, it's also about how you treat yourself. Self-respect is the foundation for how you allow others to treat you. If you constantly criticize yourself, neglect your own needs, or settle for less than you deserve, you're setting the tone for how others will treat you. Start by treating yourself with the same kindness, compassion, and respect that you want from others. When you respect yourself, you naturally attract relationships and environments that reflect that respect. Understand that stopping disrespect is an ongoing process. It's not a one-time action, it's a mindset and a way of living. You may encounter pushback, resistance, or even backlash from people who benefited from your lack of boundaries in the past. That's okay. Standing up for yourself takes courage, and it's a sign of growth. Every time you refuse to tolerate disrespect, you reinforce your self-worth and strengthen your inner resolve. Disrespect, no matter how small, has no place in your life. You deserve to be treated with dignity, kindness, and respect, and it starts with demanding it first from yourself and then from others. The moment you stop tolerating disrespect, you take back control of your life and set the standard for how you expect to be treated. That is where your power lies. Stop saying yes to everything and start prioritizing your own needs and goals. Learning to say no is one of the most powerful skills you can develop, yet for many, it's also one of the most difficult. Why? Because saying no can feel uncomfortable. It can trigger feelings of guilt, fear of disappointing others, or concern about how you'll be perceived. But here's the truth. Every time you say yes to something that doesn't align with your priorities, you're saying no to yourself. You're giving away your time, energy, and focus resources that are finite and should be protected. One of the main reasons people struggle to say no is the desire to be liked or accepted. We've been conditioned to believe that agreeing to every request makes us good, kind, or helpful. And while it's important to be kind and considerate, there's a line between being helpful and being a pushover. When you constantly say yes to others at the expense of your own needs, you risk becoming resentful, overburdened, and even burned out. True kindness doesn't require you to sacrifice your well-being or compromise your boundaries. To break free from the habit of saying yes to everything, start by recognizing your limits. You are only one person, and there are only so many hours in a day. You can't do everything, nor should you try to. When you spread yourself too thin, you end up doing a lot of things poorly instead of a few things well. More importantly, you deprive yourself of the time and energy needed to focus on what truly matters to you, whether it's your career, your health, your relationships, or your personal growth. Before agreeing to any request, take a moment to pause and reflect. Ask yourself, does this align with my goals and values? Do I have the time and energy to do this without neglecting my other responsibilities? Am I saying yes because I genuinely want to or because I feel pressure to? This kind of self-reflection helps you make decisions based on what's best for you rather than out of obligation or guilt. Learning to say no is about setting boundaries, and boundaries are essential for maintaining healthy relationships and a balanced life. A boundary is not about shutting people out or being selfish. It's about protecting your time, energy, and emotional well-being. When you set clear boundaries, you teach others how to treat you and show them that you value yourself. People who truly respect you will understand and honor your boundaries. Those who don't may resist or push back, but that's a reflection of them, not you. Saying no doesn't have to be harsh or confrontational. It's possible to decline requests in a way that is both firm and respectful. For example, you might say, I appreciate you thinking of me, but I'm unable to take this on right now, or thank you for asking, but I need to focus on my priorities at the moment. These statements are clear, polite, and leave no room for ambiguity. You don't owe anyone a lengthy explanation or justification for your decision. A simple no is enough. Another reason people hesitate to say no is fear of missing out, FOMO. You might worry that by declining an opportunity, you're letting something valuable slip away. But not every opportunity is the right one for you. And not every request deserves your attention. In fact, saying no to the wrong things creates space for the right things to come into your life. It allows you to focus on the activities, people, and goals that truly matter, rather than being distracted by things that don't. It's also important to recognize that saying yes to everything doesn't actually help others in the long run. When you overcommit, you're less likely to follow through with excellence. You might rush through tasks, make mistakes, or fail to deliver on promises because you've taken on too much. By saying no when necessary, you ensure that the commitments you do accept receive your full attention and effort. This not only benefits you, but also earns you greater respect and trust from others. If you're someone who struggles with guilt when saying no, remind yourself that self-care is not selfish. Taking care of your own needs is essential for your well-being, and it allows you to show up as your best self for others. You can't pour from an empty cup. By prioritizing your own goals and boundaries, you're setting a positive example for others, encouraging them to do the same in their own lives. Over time, saying no gets easier. It's like building a muscle. The more you practice, the stronger and more confident you become. You'll begin to notice how much lighter and freer you feel when you're not weighed down by unnecessary obligations. You'll have more time and energy to invest in the things that truly matter to you, and your life will feel more aligned with your values and purpose. The reality is you can't be everything to everyone, but you can be everything to yourself, and that's what matters most. Saying no is not a rejection of others. It's an affirmation of yourself. It's a way of taking control of your life, protecting your priorities, and honoring your own needs. When you stop saying yes to everything, you give yourself the gift of focus, freedom, and fulfillment. And that's a gift worth giving. Stop ignoring your intuition and start trusting that inner voice guiding you toward what's right for you. Your intuition is one of the most powerful tools. You have an innate compass that helps you navigate life's complexities. Yet so many people suppress or disregard their intuition, often to their detriment. They doubt it, second guess it, or allow external influences to drown it out. But ignoring your intuition can lead to poor decisions, missed opportunities, and a life that feels out of alignment with who you truly are. Intuition isn't some mystical, unexplainable phenomenon. It's your subconscious mind processing information and experiences faster than your conscious mind can. It's the culmination of your knowledge, instincts, and emotions coming together to give you a sense of what feels right or wrong. Think of it as your inner guide, one that doesn't always shout but often whispers. And if you're not paying attention, you risk overlooking its invaluable insights. One reason people ignore their intuition is the fear of being wrong. Society places such a high value on logic, reason, and evidence that it's easy to dismiss anything that can't be measured or proven. You might tell yourself, "I can't explain it. How can I trust it?" But intuition doesn't always work in ways that are immediately logical. Sometimes it's a gut feeling about a person, a hesitation before making a decision, or a sense of unease in a particular situation. You may not be able to articulate why you feel that way, but that doesn't mean your feelings are invalid. More often than not, your intuition is picking up on subtle cues that your conscious mind hasn't fully processed yet. Another reason people suppress their intuition is external pressure. Whether it's the opinions of friends and family, societal expectations, or the advice of so-called experts, there's no shortage of voices telling you what you should do. So it's easy to fall into the trap of prioritizing these external inputs over your own inner voice. You might think they know better than I do, or what if I disappoint them? But no one knows you better than you know yourself. No one else has lived your life, felt your emotions, or experienced the world through your perspective. While seeking advice and input can be helpful, the final decision should always come from within. Trusting your intuition requires you to get quiet and listen. In today's fast-paced, noisy world, it's easy to drown out that inner voice with distractions, social media, endless to-do lists, and the constant buzz of notifications. To tune into your intuition, you need to create space for it to be heard. This might mean spending time in solitude, meditating, journaling, or simply going for a walk without any distractions. These moments of stillness allow you to connect with yourself on a deeper level and become more attuned to what your intuition is telling you. Pay attention to how your body reacts to different situations or decisions. Intuition often manifests physically, perhaps as a tightness in your chest, a sinking feeling in your stomach, or a sense of lightness and ease. These physical sensations are clues that can guide you toward or away from certain choices. For example, if you're considering a job offer and feel a sense of dread every time you think about it, that's your intuition signaling that it might not be the right fit. Conversely, if you feel a spark of excitement or calm when considering an opportunity, that's a sign to explore it further. Learning to trust your intuition also means letting go of the need for constant validation. It's natural to want reassurance from others, but relying too heavily on external approval can undermine your ability to make decisions independently. When you trust your intuition, you become less concerned about what others think and more confident in your ability to chart your own course. This self-trust is empowering. It allows you to take risks, embrace uncertainty, and pursue paths that feel authentic to you, even if they don't make sense to anyone else. Of course, trusting your intuition doesn't mean acting impulsively or ignoring logic altogether. It's about finding a balance between your rational mind and your gut feelings. Use your intuition as a starting point and then gather the information you need to make an informed decision. For example, if your intuition tells you that a particular business idea has potential, do your research to confirm its viability. Intuition and reason aren't mutually exclusive. They work best when they're used together. Over time, the more you listen to your intuition, the stronger and more reliable it becomes. It's like building a relationship with yourself, one based on trust, respect, and understanding. You'll start to notice patterns in how your intuition communicates with you, and you'll become more confident in acting on its guidance. You'll also begin to recognize the consequences of ignoring it, whether it's missed opportunities, unnecessary hardships, or decisions that don't serve your best interests. Your intuition is your ally, a source of wisdom that's always available to you. When you stop ignoring it and start trusting it, you align yourself with your true purpose and values. You make decisions that feel right in your soul, not just in your mind. And as you cultivate this connection with your intuition, you'll find that life begins to flow more effortlessly. You'll feel more grounded, more confident, and more at peace with the choices you make. Trust yourself. You know more than you think you do. Trusting your intuition empowers you to make decisions that align with your true self. By listening to that inner voice, you move closer to your authentic path, creating a life filled with confidence, purpose, and peace. Stop ignoring your intuition. It's your most reliable guide.